Hello everyone, I hope you're well. So today's post I'm going to talk about how miracles can happen but only if ... Right, so in my last post I talked about how I was really desperate to do my last surf lesson because it's my last day out in India, but I was a bit concerned because I'd been really struggling with like a sore sternum and from my collision with another surfer. Anyway, so I was a bit worried because I could, it might even have been a little bit fractured, and but I thought, no, I'm really desperate to do it. Chances are it's all right. Just go for it. Just take a few ibuprofen and go for it. And so that night, just sort of almost by coincidence, I was invited to do a yoga class, and I thought, yeah, okay, I'll give it a go. But it was just gonna only do what I could do, and so the proviso was that I would do movement so long as it didn't hurt. And so I couldn't do things like the sun salutations. I just sort of stood to the side and did some of my own stretching, and then any other stretch I was just really mindful of any pain. And even like the teacher came around sometimes and was trying to like force me into positions, and I was just like, no, get off me. I was actually a little bit annoyed, but yes. So I made it through the yoga class, and I was actually surprised at how much I could do. And I think that is a big reason why the next day when I came to do the surf class, it was almost like a miracle. I could do the class. So similar approach in the warm-up, just the proviso was just like, do all the movements that you will be doing, but on the basis that only do it if it doesn't hurt. And yeah, I was just almost a bit like confused, like thinking, oh, this should be hurting and it's not. And so it was almost like the movement had cured my sternum, and actually I think that it wasn't fractured. It was probably just a bit misplaced, and so what had been happening up until then was like I would do a surf lesson having rested it, thinking, oh, I've rested it now, I'll be fine. But then it was just really sore when I came to do the surfing. So it was the lack of movement which was preventing my healing, because it was sort of staying in that stuck out of position. And the yoga had, well, effectively helped to realign it. So as I say, I was just really chuffed that I could do the surfing, and that I wasn't in pain, and that I wasn't doing any extra damage to it, and that I'd managed to heal myself by doing this yoga. And yes, I thought I was cured, and then a couple of days later I was doing some netball coaching, and chest pass, something like went out of line again. I just felt like an old woman for a few days after that. But I just used the same proviso, as I say, just do movements to help to free it up, but on the basis that it doesn't hurt. And yeah, within a week it was absolutely fine, and touch wood, I've not had any problems since. So yeah, it's not always the case when you're injured that you should rest something. Just have the mantra, do what you can, and be really mindful as you're doing those movements. And yeah, if it's getting worse, stop. But if not, miracles can happen. And yeah, another example from a running perspective is when I was on training camp back in 2006, which was my best year, and my flipping Achilles basically just reared its head again, which was often the case as I started to transition to doing like faster track work and wearing spikes. And I just thought, oh, not again, because it pretty much written off my season before. And so I was like, right, Becky, okay, you know what's helped it in the past, do all that, run, but only on the basis that I couldn't really say that it wasn't hurting, because it did hurt, but run only on the basis that it doesn't get worse. And so that's what I was doing. I was just sort of very mindful each step. Is it getting worse? Is it getting worse? No. I strapped it up really firmly, Unfortunately, there weren't many physios out there on the training camp. I had a masseur, but which probably helped a bit, you know, because I was saying, I was just doing whatever I could. So I got the massage. Taping was probably the biggest thing because I knew how to sort of support the Achilles so it would take the strain off it. I would ice it, I'd do all my eccentrics as I was walking around. I'd put like a little heel raise, that was another quite big thing. And as I say, I was just racking my brains for everything that I thought, and I was running really, it was quite fast because you know, it was pretty much make or break for me at that point as to whether I'd pursue athletics as a career. So last chance saloon. And yeah, I got back from the training camp thinking, oh my god, what damage have I done here? Should I have done that? And I went to see a physio finally, expecting them to give me a right good telling off for being so stupid for running on a sore Achilles. But like, I got there and took off the strapping, which wasn't done the most professionally, and it had like cut all my ankle and everything, but that's beside the point because like, yeah, it was actually all right. Again, it just felt like a real miracle that all of a sudden the movement and me just doing what I could had kind of strengthened it and mobilised it so that yeah, it was cured. And I just I was running going, why isn't it hurting anymore? So there you go. Have the mantra, just do what you can, and that is the way that miracles happen. Okay, yes, so don't lose hope, and I hope that helps. Take care, bye bye.